Okay, we will have already a quorum. Ah, sige, 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 sige. Okay, talagsaon ka kayo na nga. What? Oh, quorum already. Mr. Secretary, majority floor. Councilor Suset. Okay. May hapon sa tanan. The 68th regular session sa Gunya Panglusod, Dakwen sa Cagayan de Oro. It's now called on to order. Please do stand. Remain standing, please, for an invocation by Councilor J. Roa Pascual. J. Roa Pascual, is he around?
Ngapon, Vice.
Ay, okay. Okay, Councilor J. Boy Roa Pascual.
Mangapon sa tanan,
May hapon.
ang manguros. Almighty and loving Father, Creator of heaven and earth, we praise you and adore you. You are the kings of kings. We humbly ask your forgiveness for our sins. Have mercy on us, O Lord, as we are gathered here today. Send us our Holy Spirit to be guide and give us the wisdom to understand every agenda that we are going to discuss and approve. Enlighten our minds and let your love be upon us. May this session here today bring success and growth to our beloved city. We thank you, Father, for this precious time that you have given us. All this we pray through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God forever. Amen.
Amen.
Son of
Thank
the
you,
Spirit.
Councilor J. Roa Pascual, and for our national anthem, for the singing of our national anthem. And for the Cagayan de Oro March. Maayong hapon sa tanan. So, we feel already the Christmas season or the Christmas, murag nanimaho na Christmas, no? Everywhere we can see the symbols of Christmas or Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas sa inyo tanan. Mhm. Ah,
Merry
despite,
Christmas, bye, sa mong pinaskuhan.
despite the pandemic that we are facing, the challenges that we will encounter, ato gani ma maagian, no? So at least we will never lose hope and still serving the Cagayanons. So, kitsa ba yung nag-decorate ni? Maayo kayo. Kay grabe kay si Madam Carla de ayo. Carla Likayan. Ayo kayo ang decoration. Recycled Christmas decoration. Thank you kayo for decorating our plenary. Ayun, tangap. Oh. Ato pakpakan, Madam Carla Likayan sa atong kuan. Ayun lang, tanawa, Sige, Ah? Hmm. Uh, anyway, our 68th regular session this afternoon. So, for the process or the usual call, since for this afternoon, Master Secretary, can you roll call if we do have a quorum this afternoon?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Mayong hapon.
Honorable Renier Joaquin VOy, City Vice Mayor and Presiding Officer. For the First District Councilors, Honorable Edna Dahino, Honorable J.R. Pascual,
Present.
Honorable Roger G. Abaday, Honorable Saldi O. Ocon, Honorable George Isgoking, Honorable Ruben R. Daba, Honorable Lordan G. Swan, Honorable Romeo V. Calizo. For the Second District Councilors, Honorable Joylene Mercedes El Balaba, Honorable Maria Lourdes Isgaani, Honorable Ayan Mark Cunacaya, Honorable Josette G. Magtahas Daba,
Here.
Honorable
Hi.
Dolfo E. Lau Jr.,
Hello.
Present.
Honorable Enrico D. Salcedo, Honorable Jocelyn B. Rodriguez, Honorable
Present.
Edgar S. Cabanlas. For the ex-officio members, Honorable Yan Lam Islim, and Honorable John Michael Elseno, City SK Federation President. There is quorum, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. So we have a quorum. This moment, Majority Floor Leader, Ayan Mark Kiblat Nakaya. Ayong hapon kanimo Majority Floor.
May hapon usab Mr. Chairman ug salamat. Thank you very much. And to our colleagues in the council, friends from media and fellow Cagayanons, may hapon. I move, Mr. Chairman, to dispense with the reading of the minutes of meeting on December 1, 2020 and to consider the furnishing of its copy to every member as the reading itself.
Properly moved by the Majority
Second.
Floor Leader. Seconded.
Second.
Is there any correction? Is there any? There is none. Hearing none. It is hereby approved.
Likewise, for the approval of the said minutes of meeting.
For its finality, seconded.
We don't have a special report in the agenda.
So,
But may I move, Mr. Chairman, to... by the way, ngano wala na butangan? Okay. For calling the order of the day, Mr. Chairman, it is supposed to have a special report. So on this level of our proceeding, may I ask the chair to recognize Councilor Enrico Salcedo to render his special report as regards his observation on the utilization of ambulance in the barangays, Mr. Chairman.
there is no special report, but Councilor Enrico Salcedo, despite the Christmas season is just around the corner, but still
He's very active.
very active.
He's very
Without
inspired
Christmas
by
season.
Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani. He's very inspired.
Thank you. Thank you,
For the sake
majority. Thank
of-
you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Salamat kayo. Kini akong special report, Mr. Chairman. Importante sa kayo ni kay may ngapon din sa tanan.
May
Importante kayo ni siya, Mr. Chairman. Tungod kay sa akong naobserbaran sa mga milabay na semana, daghan nga nagkayong klase nga aksidente ang gakaitabo sa atong mga kadalanan, especially sa atong mga national highways. Sama na lamang sa mga bangga, sa matag sakyanan ug motor o kanang side sipan sa mga sakyanan, ang mga usa ka matabukay, Mr. Chairman. Last Saturday morning, a report from local radio station diri sa Dakbayan, Magnum Radio, reported a vehicular accident in Barangay Tablon involving a female resident of that barangay and a motorcycle. Diin nagkasugat kini sila sa tunga sa highway kung asan ang biktima patabok usab. Ang nag-ingon nga biktima kritikal kay sa pagkahitabua nabunal ang ulo niini sa semento nga hinungdan nga kusog ang aga sa dugo ug ang driver milagpot usab mga 5 meters gikan sa area sa nahitabuan. Ang biktima dugay nadala sa balay tambalanan kay ang nagresponde o ang rescue nagikan pa sa syudad. Kay according to report anaay ambulance ang barangay pero dili kuno pwede masakyan kay buros ra daw pwede isakay. Maong nagulat pa sila sa responde nga gikan sa syudad o sa CDRRMO, Mr. Chairman. An ambulance is an emergency transport vehicle. Kini nga paggagamiton para sa mga emerhensya, dili lang exclusive para sa mga buros. Maong akong nadungog, pagdungog sa balita sa miaging Sabado, dako akong kakurat sa rason nganong dili magamit ang ambulance sa Barangay Tablon also during the airtime of Anchor Manny Agustero on his radio program sa Magnum Radio. Iyang nasuta sa iyang mismong nakaagigod sa insidente. Diin iyang gikontak para mahinabi ang current PB or Barangay Captain Bilikid Ausa o ang former Barangay Captain Romeo Bacaro sa iyang programa kung aha ilang nalabitan nila ni PB Ausa nga mao gayud ang ilang dakong problema kung naay aksidente sa mga kadalanan kay dili nila magamit ang ambulansya sa lain nga emergency responses tungod kay ingon ang driver niini nga ang instruction sa ila buros ray PD ikarga kay kuno dili sila trained for emergency responses. Unfortunately, just today, December 7, it said nga ang nakabsa na sa kinabuhi ang biktima tungod sa hemorrhage, Mr. Chairman. The ambulance is owned by the city government of Cagayan de Oro. The drivers are employed under the GRBGH. And according to the driver, instruction were given to them by the head of the office nga ang ikarga buros ra daw. But as per former PB Bacaro mentioned on the interview during the turnover of the ambulance during his reign as punong barangay, it is clearly stated that the ambulance will be used for emergency responses not just to Barangay Tablon but also to the neighboring barangays such as Agusan, Kugman, Balubal, Puerto Bugo. Apan unsa naman ng pagkaitabua karon nga nag-exclusive naman kuno para lang sa buros. It is mentioned nga ang rason sa driver sa ambulance kay kuno dili sila trained for emergency responses. Apan according to PB Ausa and former PB Bacaro, anaaman di ay nga mga BFP rescuer usab sa barangay, in which I also believe that are trained to assess or respond to emergency cases so as mentioned. Pipila ka mga aksidente nga gakahitabo nga dili marespondihan diretso ang involved sa aksidente kay nagulat pa sa rescue gikan sa sentrong bahin sa syudad kundiin anaa man untay ambulance nga pwede magamit during the follow-up report of the respondent sa Magnum Radio last Saturday. Ang biktima anaa sa critical condition kay gani, Mr. Chairman, sigun sa akong gisuri sa unahan, namatay naman kaganina. Mr. Chairman, it is saddened me personally kay imbis na ay gibutang sa atong halangdong mayor nga sakyanan for emergency purposes para sa dali nga pagresponde dili na noon magamit. With this incident, may we request the in charge or head of office sa nagdumala sa ambulance nga na-deploy sa mga kabarangayan to give us insight kung nganong niingon ang driver sa ambulance nga ang instruction para kini sa burus kay sa ingon usab ni PB Ausa dugay na nga panahon sila ga-request usab sa GRBGH o personahe nga train for emergency response apan walay response gikan kanila. Para kanako dako ang kasayang sa ambulance kung maingon man di ay nga dili magamit sa emerensya kay pipila ra pwede makagamit niini. Ang main purpose nako nini kay para matagaan og kalinaw ang giklaim sa driver nga para kini sa buros. Kay daghan nga mga ambulansya nga gipahimutang sa mga kalinlaing barangay sa Dakbayan para sa emergency responses o para usab maklaro nato kung para asa gayud kini pagagamiton ang mga sakyanan kay akong nanginaot nga dili may tabo sa laing barangay o naitabo didto sa barangay Tablon, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I respectfully submit this special report in part or in full to the City Council, to the Committee on Health and Sanitation, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Enrico Salcedo, for your special report. It is your request that you will submit it to the chairmanship of Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani, specifically. So, okay, a quick reaction from coming from the Committee Chairman on Health. Okay, Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani, ayong hapon kanimo.
Ay nga po ka natong tanan. Actually, I would just like to clarify kay ang ambulance karon is should be, there are three types I think of ambulance. Number one is, we call that the patient transport vehicle. Pwede lang na siya pwede i-transport from any, for emergency, not for any other emergencies, di siya pwede magamit. Kaya dapat accredited with DOH. Number two, ang ambulance for disaster, nga kailangan din siya, ang ambulance is equipped and naagi personnel nga train for that, especially kung vehicular siya, dili lang nato basta-basta mahilabtan. Like, for example, naa siya'y fracture, dapat competent na personnel gyud ang mo assist gyud anang mga especially vehicular accident. Now, I just like to ask kung tinod ba gyud nagsulti ang driver na para lang sa buros ang ganang ambulance sa Tablon, kay as far as I'm concerned sa ako pa nga time during the first term of Mayor Moreno, ako ba na that was endorsed to the Barangay Tablon para ma-cater sa any emergencies na pwede ma-transport sa atong paingon sa nearest hospital. So it's not only para sa Boros. I would just like to clarify kung tinuod na. Pero considering nga gi-refer sa committee, I will just tackle that sa next na ako nga committee meeting. Thank you, Councilor Eric.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani. Is there any other wants to add or the special report? So it is clearly stated that there are three classes of ambulance. So I think the requisites required by such response, such as vehicular accident, mm, they are not possessing at that time the barangay Tablon ambulance. No? Kinahanglan na ang maging mga proper training or proper person expertise in response sa vehicular accident. Rather than pregnant women, no? Pwede ka require for such service for maternity patient only. So the other one, the third class, for disaster. Okay. So I think that is the main reason they don't have the full certification or authority coming from the Department of Health.
Related
Okay.
gapon kang Councilor Gani ang report ni Councilor Salcedo, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
Maybe not the subject matter, but Councilor
I think,
Gani really is the target.
I think Councilor Enrico Salcedo has an eagle eye over the committee chairmanship of Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani. So, Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani, you have to be extra careful and you have to be watching out. No?
Watching your back.
Sa likod is
Because
Councilor
Councilor
Enrico.
Salcedo is at her back.
Keep on sneaking. Okay, in addition, okay, Councilor Edna Marban Dahino.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good
Mayong
afternoon to
hapon.
my fellow councilors and our guests up at the back. Mr. Chairman, with this incident, you don't want to happen it again, Mr. Chairman. So that is why I would like to request the CDRMMO to really check and assess the numbers of ambulance that is distributed or deployed to all barangays that we have in Cagayan de Oro, so that we can assess what other things to be introduced or to prevent the incident, Mr. Chairman. We cannot afford nga mahitabo pa ni pag-usab, Mr. Chairman. So, knowing that it is recommended already with the Committee of Health, but I think there should be a double action with this kay daghan gud tinuod na disgrasya. So kung kulang ta og ambulance, dili diretso ta maka-respond, daghan kaayo ang kanang dili, kumbaga daghan mamatay, Mr. Chairman. So at least if this agency, this office nga gisangunan ani mga ambulance, Mr. Chairman, would really assess, baliko na ko at Mr. Chairman would assist kung unsa ba ang kulang, how we can be more kind of empowered, how the barangay will be more empowered with this kind of incident, para nga malikayan nato, Mr. Chairman, nga naapaunta higayon nga mabuhi ang usa ka pasyente, but because of the delayed response mo ning mahitabo nga mawad-an ang taon og kinabuhi. So Mr. Chairman, I would like to call again the kanang office naghatag og mag-response, emergency response rather, nga ilan ning tan-awon, Mr. Chairman. Again, we do not want again nga mahitabo pa ni tungod kay mag pinpoint at kinsay sala mga buros. We do not want that mga information nga makasakit sa ulo, Mr. Chairman. We want solution to this problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Edna Marban Dahino. So, a quick response coming from Councilor Enrico Salcedo. You cancel it? Okay. Okay, Councilor John Michael Zeno.
May hapon, Vice
May
Mayor
hapon.
Joaquin Kikangoy, Majority Floor Leader Ayan Mark Kiblat Nakaya, members of the 19th City Council, friends from the media, fellow Cagayanons, may hapon kanatong tanan. I hope nga wala na isunod mahitabo nga inani, Mr. Chairman, nga dili diretso madala sa balay tambalanan ng usa ka na aksidente. siguro, considering that our CDRRMD purchased more ambulance, maybe the would also assess that somehow they could put an ambulance on that particular side na medyo mas duol. Kaya kung imong sabton, Mr. Chair, gikan sa sentro nga bahin, kung muadto ka na nga area, Tablon, even Kugman, Bugo, Puerto, medyo layo-layo na gyud siya. O kung naaya traffic congestion, mas madugay ang pag-abot. Basin pwede nila ma-assist. Kaya number one, kaganina gi-mention, is wala kuno na train. But on the previous session, the CDRRMD manifested that they have trained the basic life support on some BDRRMC personnel. Na unsaon man pud na imong gi-train, Mr. Chair, kung sa giingon pagaganina ni Councilor Eric Salcedo, nga dili man gyud magpasakay, gawas na lang gyud sa buros. Siguro kinahanglan nato na i-address nga concern. And if this representation would like also to ask Councilor Eric Salcedo if we could also join committee with the committee on disaster that chaired on Councilor Chodolpo Bunglao that was previously approved, so that perhaps we could try to look not just on the case sa Tablon na hitabo, but in the entire city. And we could check also the planning diya sa ato ang CDRRMD, and we could somehow make any legislative actions for that matter. Thank you and good afternoon.
Okay, thank you, Councilor John Michael Seno. Okay, Councilor Enrico Salcedo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wala ko'y objection at itong opinion ni Councilor John Seno, Mr. Chairman. Ang ako lang, Mr. Chairman, nga identify na to gyud kung pila ka buok ang mga ambulansya nga magamit sa city, owned by the city government or owned by the barangay. Mana nga okay tong suggestion or idea ni Councilor Seno nga kinahanglan na ay taga CDRR MD para matrain sila. Pero katong case sa Tablon, Mr. Chairman, kay naagi ko ni taga BFP. Kining BFP, Mr. Chairman, kining Bureau of Fire, is train ni sila in terms sa rescue. Pero ang problema dito, mo nang gaklaro na to, pinagi sa committee ni Councilor Malugani, akong Ludi, Mr. Chairman, nga kining parang mabato unsa ka tinuod nga katong buros ray makagamit. Para po may bawa na to pila ka buok ambulansya nga tag-iya ang city government. Kaya dito sa case sa Tablon, Mr. Chairman, kay minaw man ko sa Magnum Radio, nag-iyon si former barangay captain Rumid Bacaro nga kini siya gi-turn over gani ang nag-turn over ani si Councilor Saldi Ocon. Nag-turn over ani nga para kuno ni sa tanan o katong gi-mention nako nga mga barangay. Pero I don't know kung makagamit ba ang mga ubang barangay nga gi-mention nako, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Enrico Salcedo. Okay, a quick response coming from Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani.
Actually, if I remember it right, when we called on Sir Nick Habagat, for next year, they're planning to have an extension office sa CDR para ma-extend sa, ang ako ma-remember sa District 2, yung na-mention, magbutang silang office sa Agusan and isa sa Balubal. Mo na yung during his report, itong last nato sila gitawag, I do not know it. Siguro nasa extension office para magbutang na din sila og personnel and competent personnel para in cases of emergency. For next year pa.
But that,
If I remember it right, katong akong na-remember, maglisod og This is one kuan lang na storya na ko si Mayor. Malisod ang pag-sustain kung naa sa barangay, especially kung nanay mga ambulances, tapos kung madaot, naay barangay nga dili na nila maayo gyud ang ambulance or ma-maintain ang ambulance. So why not nga ang city na lang ang maghimo sa extension office sa atong CDR para at least ang city ang mag-sustain sa anang mga gamit sa atong sa office sa CDR. Walang akong na-remember nga storya ni Sir Nick during our last meeting with him.
Okay, thank you, Maria Lourdes Gaani. Well,
Yes,
in
Chairman.
addition, every ambulance, I think there is a clearance coming from or certification coming from DOH. It will vary about the case responded or the case they were responding to. It will vary. But when it comes to vehicular accident, I think that this could be the higher class of terms of response with their expertise, equipment, and the way they responded. So there is a classification about that, about the ambulance, about the ambulance case. Okay, Councilor Roger Abade wants to add something.
Thank you very much, Sir Chairman, my colleagues, o atong mga naminaw karon maayong hapon sa tanan. Now, with regards with this issue, I think wala man siguro hard and fast rule nga mura gina imong tumanon yun, no? Now, before that ambulance is turned over to the said barangay, doon naman siguro yung mga memorandum of agreement or na siguro yung mga policy unsaon paggamit na ng unsay kagamitan na ng ambulance, no? So pagtanong siguro nato ang kanang in charge na, who is the in charge, ang barangay ba gitugyanan or somebody in the city employee who is taking charge of that ambulance. Kay when we speak of emergency ambulance, that is for emergency purposes. So discretion na in the part of the charge, whether he has to respond or he has to respond, especially nga that's emergency, no? So there are exceptions. Ang police bitaw, ang ilang duty is only 8 hours. A government employee is only 8 hours. But in times of emergency, dili sila moingon nga, uy, off duty ko. So you have to respond, no? You have to respond even though if it is in your not on your duty. In the case of that ambulance, I don't believe nga inanasab kamubo ang utok sa atong mayor sa in charge nga exclusive ra gina para sa mga buros in times of emergency. Dili sila moingon nga, uy, double suko naman. Ato ang agyod imbestigahon, no? And imbestigahon gini kanang in charge diha kung unsa gay instruction nga gihatag sa unsa work description niya kay lisod kayo madalahig ang mayor, madalahig ang ahensya just because of that negligence, Mr. Chairman. So I am supporting the move of Councilor Salcido that this will be investigated para to prevent the future occurrence, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, Councilor Roger
the
Abade.
presiding officer.
Okay, Councilor Saldi Ocon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sa miaging semana na ay naghikog diri sa balay dapit. Mayo gani kay mamatay. Kadugo-dugo na ang tibok lawas. So ang akong gihimo, nagdial dayon ko sa 911. So automatic response dayon. Pero ipangutana sa ako, Mr. Presiding Chair, kung ang maong pasyente ba, conscious ba, di na ba conscious, unsa man ni siya, vehicular, buntis ba ni, nga kay iman di ay Mr. Chairman, ang utana sila ni anak, kay lahi-lahi man di ay nga klase nga ambulansya ang iparesponde. Nag-agad ka na sa sitwasyon sa pasyente, Mr. Chairman. So in fairness sa CDRRMO, aktibo gud kayo. Gani miabot yun sila diri. kuha gid nila ang pasyente, Mr. Chairman. Now, diya po sa barangay, tinuod nang giingon ni Councilor Salcido nga dugay naman to nga kana nga ambulansya gibutang gyud na diya sa barangay Tablon kay sa katarungan lagi na para madali ang pagresponde. Pero nasabtan nato nga dili ang tanang ambulansya makaresponde sa tanang klase nga insidente. Kay naman gyud mga kuang na Mr. Chairman, ang atong mga ambulansya tanaw nato kompleto na sa mga kahimanan. May ubang gani diya na ay mga oxygen. Yang ubang gani diya Mr. Chairman na ay mga nurses, doktor pa nga mosakay pa ni ana. So ang pangutana karon diya sa barangay Tablon, katagan sa nato benefit of the doubt. Sakto nga pangutanon ta nato. Kung ngano mawa sila maka responde, basin baya ingon anak pud nga mga aspito, basig kulang sila sa personahe, Mr. Chairman. Kay sa mga buros, among problema na makarga dayon kay na may mga midwife nga mo assist dayon sa city hospital, pero sa mga vehicular accident, Mr. Chairman, delikado gyud ni kaayo. Posible maunay panahon nga nakaingon ang driver nga para lang nit sa mga buros kay posible wa sila kumpletong kahimanan, Mr. Chairman. Salamat kayo.
Mr. Chair. Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
thank you, Councilor Saldi Okon.
Mr. Chair.
So, is there any wants
Chair.
to? Okay. Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez. Mayong
Good
hapon
afternoon,
kanimo.
Mr. Chair. May hapon sa tanan. Mr. Chair, ang ambulance was parked sa barangay. In times of emergency, even Motorella can carry a patient, especially that the clock is ticking. Dili ta pareha sa Amerika that we classify kay na fracture or what. Important thing is, especially with hemorrhage, na makarga dayon ang pasyente. Why do we have to park the ambulance nga visible sa publiko? Ang atong problema is makita ang ambulance sa katawhan and all of a sudden, balibaran kay para buros ra. Ang buros dili emergency, I tell you. Ang buros pwede karga sa lain, pero katong na disgrasya, grabe, nag-hemorrhage na, dili mo sugot ang driver. I was listening to Magnum Radio. Dili mo sugot ang driver, per kapitan ang kagawad. Ngano dili man makarga? Why do we have to classify nga ang ambulance is for emergency? Walay makaanha sa sitwasyon para pag-check o classify aning pasyente ha. Kay dili man gyud ta advance in the first place. Di ba ta pare sa Amerika? Ang ako lang, gaano makakarga ang Motorella? Gaano makakarga ang tricycle? Why? Because emergency. Dili na unta ta mo pili kung naay panahon sa disgrasya kay the loss of blood, kaya atong netabo sa tablon, pag loss sa iyang blood, mo na kong gingon, the clock is ticking, mamatay gyud ang pasyente. Otherwise, kung masayo-sayo lang og karga ang pasyente, siguro ato pang maluwas ang usa ka kinabuhi. Ang ako unta, Mr. Chair, sa report ni Councilor Salcedo, kaya maayod ang report that tutukan na to. Ang ambulance, kung ma-park magaling sa barangay, niya i-classify nga dili pwede, disgrasya, I'd rather nga di na lang i-park diha. Kaya masuko gyud ang mga tao. In fact, ang uban dili ambulance, mamatay na lang ang pasyente sa sulod sa ambulance. But yet, nakarga na to. We're trying to save lives here. So, ang ako is emergency is always emergency, regardless of what vehicle are we going to use. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez. Is there any member who wants to add for the report coming from Councilor Enrico Salcedo? Thank you for your good special report of yours, Councilor Enrico Salcedo. And at this matter that you want to be adjoined, this could be a joint investigation or a joint action coming from, as requested, it must be committee chairmanship on health, and so as the committee chairman of the disaster, since this could be a response or responding a case in times of emergency.
Barangay
So,
affairs
chaired-
also, Mr. Chairman.
And so as barangay affairs, so a tripartite respond from a different committee. So from health, disaster and so as barangay level. Chaired also by, well, the disaster is chaired by Councilor Chodolfo Bunglao. And so as the last one is the from ABC Chairman, Councilor Yan Lam Lim. Agalon. Ay hapon nimo. So, as you heard it, Majority Floor Leader, you may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Proceeding to the agenda proper, we have item number 1 as previously proposed in the previous session. Proposed resolution number 2020-244, returning to the herein enumerated barangay councils, the city, the respective barangay ordinances covering the imposition of fee for the issuance of barangay clearance for business permit or construction permit at the rates specified therein, with the information that said ordinances are operative in its entirety. Again, as introduced in the previous session, the list and the names of the barangays, Mr. Chairman. But before we proceed, may we ask the chair to recognize Councilor George Goking, the chair of the Trade and Commerce Committee, to introduce, to give his sponsorship message and introduce also our invited resource persons for this item, Mr. Chairman. Councilor George Goking.
Okay. I think this resolution did be deferred from the last session as I
Yes,
remember.
this was deferred,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Majority Floor Leader.
Okay, Councilor George Hugh Goking. Ayong hapon kanimo,
Ayan,
konsehal.
kiblat na kaya. O, to the members of 19 City Council, to Liga ng mga Barangay, Chair Kagawad Alam Lim, ug akong mga kauban sa TIPC, Trade and Investment Promotion Center, Director Jane Docalios, Eileen San Juan, Oksana Custodio, and all our barangay friends, mayong hapon. We started having this deliberation, Mr. Chair, regarding the ease on doing business. Republic Act 11032, to make it easy for the business sector to transact their business in the City Hall. Then, because of the COVID-19, the delay on the barangay fees was kind of delayed because many could not agree on what amount to be decided upon. So I think the Liga ng mga Barangay agreed that the barangay fees is 1,000 maximum, but it can be below 1,000. Ang question karon, Mr. Chair, kay ang collection, ang City Hall ang mo-collect sa mga barangay fees to be refunded no more no less sa nakolekta. So as agreed upon by Attorney Beda, ang sa Local Finance Committee nga within 7 days, iuli ra ang kwarta sa mga barangay. So I'm very happy nga after almost a year because of the COVID-19, we have finally gathered 80, I think 80 barangays. Ang 59 have submitted. Ang balance are still with the City Legal in the process of being reviewed. So that is a total of 80 barangays who agreed to join the ease on doing business. So I think we can request our TIPC, Eileen San Juan. Eileen, are you around?
Well,
Before
yes,
we recognize Mr. Chairman, may I officially move for the approval of the said item, Mr. Chairman, so that we can proceed.
okay. But just continue, Councilor George Goking, since there is no objection yet, or there is no objection that wants to object. So just proceed. And we will find it out later on as we going on to.
So with the provision of the majority floor, can I request Eileen? Or
We cannot consider
We cannot.
other resource persons before any motion will be taken, Mr. Chairman.
emotions?
Okay. That is why, Councilor George, you can just continue since, as I observed, they already knew about this motion proposal.
Yes,
Just
Mr. Chair.
continue.
So
We'll
just
recognize
wait
them
for-
at the proper time.
so
Napaka-istorya.
wala na.
Wala na.
That's
So, okay.
Maura na siya, Mr. Chair. So dagang salamat.
Okay, thank you, Councilor George. Properly moved. Any second? As proposed.
Second.
Okay, seconded. Objection? Objection? So,
Discussion.
okay, a discussion.
Maybe before the discussion, Mr. Chairman, can we ask our resource persons here? We have invited the CTDILG Director and the Local Economic and Investment Promotions Officer for this item.
Okay, but first we have to listen for their opinion, so we have to suspend the
Move
ruling.
to suspend the rules to allow non-members to participate.
Suspension. Any second? There's a
Second.
motion suspended.
Second.
The 19th City Council's Parliamentary Rules of Procedure is suspended.
Na sila.
Okay, Majority Floor Leader, you may now recognize for and our invited guests. And we have
Thank
to
you.
listen upon to and explain further about this resolution.
So welcome back, Director Jane, and you have the floor. Good to see you healthy. No, Director Jane Ducalios. She's connected. O nawala?
Okay, Director Jane Ducalios.
Hi,
Hello.
may hapon.
Ay hapon.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Presiding Officer, may hapon.
Ayong hapon gani
Ako
mo.
ang gwapo nga classmate.
Okay.
You're the floor leader. I am. Afternoon. Oo.
Duday,
Sa tanan
duday.
gwapo, of course, the Vice Mayor is gwapo. Ha? Sa tanan nga atong mga honorable city councilors, may hapon.
Ayong hapon, may hapon.
Actually, I was just informed last week. May hapon. I-inform lang ko last week about what happened in the last session. So I understand the issue is about the deferment of the approval or action on the 59 barangay ordinances, no? So I would just like to explain that this is part of our compliance to the Ease of Doing Business Act, or the RA 11032, in which one of the items there talks about barangay clearance, no? That's just among the items in the RA 11032. So salient point pertaining to barangay clearance is that it will now be integrated in the city. So the collection shall be done by the city. And also, part of the features of RA 11032 is for the LGU to review existing ordinances and find out whether the current ordinances pertaining to, specifically for barangay clearance, is in compliance not to the notion, the concept of reasonable rates. So in this particular, to address this issue on how are we going to determine the reasonableness of the fee for the barangay clearance, DILG and DOF has come up with a joint memorandum circular adapting the BLGF tool. So there's a toolkit developed by BLGF. So in the toolkit, it mentions there the formula and what are the expenses, allowable expenditures, expenses in the barangay that can be used in the computation of the fee. So that is the definition of reasonableness. So, so it passed through several meetings of the technical working group in consultation with the barangay. So in the computation, it is the city treasurer who did the computation, of course, with the guidance of the BLGF, using the toolkit. So nakuha ang actually gamay ra gani, no? So we came out with consideration kay we will understand sa ato ang mga barangays. So we get the maximum. Kay naamang po'y barangay nga maabot po og almost 1,000. So sa ligan mga barangay, gi-approve, majority, of course, not all were present. So gi-approve nila ang 1,000 as the rate. However, along the way, there are barangays who are not in conformity with the 1,000. Because when the enacted with respective barangay ordinances, it went through public hearing. So may mga barangays gyud nga it is disadvantageous to the businesses. So the Liga ng Barangay through Councilor Alam and the Vice President Councilor Kapitan Tabak settled that we will just set the maximum of 1,000. We do not prescribe the 1,000 because after all, tax revenue generation or the enactment of barangay ordinance is the power of the barangay. But we just help the barangay, we just guide the barangay in the computation so that we will be compliant with the RA 11032 as well as the DILG Department of Finance Joint Memorandum Circular. So Honorable Chair, muna ang nilabas nga 1,000. But again, as I was saying, it will be covered by individual barangay ordinances. So I understand, maunang gi-submit sa mga barangays diha sa City Council, no? And just like I am just concerned of this also because I've learned that several barangays have submitted their barangay ordinance a week or more than almost a month, I think. So I was just curious about this because naman po na sa atong local government code about processes of the review of the sanggunian, that the sanggunian has 30 days to review the barangay ordinance. Otherwise, it will be deemed approved if remains enacted. So muna siya ang story behind the barangay ordinance. So it is not just arbitrary. The 1,000 maximum is not arbitrary. It passed through several workshops, several meetings by the experts from of course, O'Neill is our from the Bureau of Finance, also BLGF. So it went through that, and in fact, there is also from the DILG region on taxation. So muna ang hitabo for that. Muna na siya ang just lugar sa Mr. Chair, unless there are specific issues I would like to raise.
Thank you. Okay. Director Mate, may we proceed, Mr. Chairman, to the next resource person?
Okay, we will proceed.
To our LEIP officer, Madam Eileen Escobar San Juan. Ma'am?
Maayong hapon sa tanan. To our presiding officer, no? Vice Mayor, yes.
Ma'am Eileen.
Oo.
How are you?
Hello. And nakabalik na. Okay. Yes, I think Director Jane has extensively explained the process of why we are doing this. And of course, we are guided by the Ease of Doing Business Act, as well as katong na JMC nga gi-order, Joint Memorandum Circular by DILG and DOF, as to the computation for the barangay clearance fee, because actually even before COVID, we've gone to several discussion and workshops with different barangays, no, to make them understand the process. I just would like to emphasize kay ang katutuong remittance to the barangay. It actually states that this shall be remitted to the concerned barangay not later than 7 working days of the ensuing month, no? So dili kanang diretso dayon within 7 days ikuan sa ila, but the ensuing month within the first 7 days ma-remit na kana sa barangay. So that is clearly stated there. And again, this is just a barangay clearance for business permit and building clearance, clearance, barangay clearance for locational locational permit needed for building permit. So inana lang ako kiklaro lang namo. So both business permit and building permit. Also, I also would like to inform the body that we have also in the process of drafting already, and we hope to submit this in time also for the next session, the ordinance for the barangay integration and clearance fees, because right now I think we are just discussing the submitted ordinances of the different barangays, but we will be forwarding the proposed ordinance for this as the intended, or what was really indicated in the EODB Act is to have this in effect by January of 2021. So we do not want to violate that provision there. And so we are hoping that we will have the understanding and the of all of these provisions even before we will be submitting the proposed ordinance. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Madam Eileen San Juan. Is there any other resource
No more
speaker?
from our resource persons, Mr. Chairman. Maybe we can recognize some members who would like to ask questions.
Okay, before
Mr.
that,
Chair.
I would like to, since there is the Liga ng Barangay Chairman and so as the Vice Chairman, Kapitan Tabak is also there at the back. Mayong hapon kanimo, Kapitan Tabak. And so since then, already from the proposal and so as they explain their side about this resolution that are proposing, maybe we can decide it on this matter. So first,
May I also elucidate some points of areas for consideration, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, majority floor. Carry
Actually, I am one of those appointed by the city mayor to be part of this body on doing business, and I have participated in certain fora, but never been active to deliberations at the barangay level or at the Liga. But the view taken by Director Jane Ducalios and Madam Eileen San Juan, including the chair of the Committee on Commerce and Trade, are of course along the line of how the barangay should support the call of the city government of Cagayan de Oro in endeavoring a holistic partnership with the city government in arriving at a certain point that our businessmen will no longer be hassled by comparisons of fees and charges, which has been the issue in several complaints filed by some businessmen. Because in one of the discussions, Mr. Chairman, there was a barangay who charged or imposed 10,000 pesos just for one clearance. And he complained, and there are barangays who only impose 500 or even 20 pesos. And I agree that there is local autonomy. But the point, Mr. Chairman, is that once a new enacted barangay measure is being approved by the Sanggunian, that would modify the previous actions. We're not forced to agree with the proposal of the city government to have uniform rates, but they were urged, and the urging have been for the past 2 years. Maybe it was a victory by the committee that was created by the city mayor after 2 years. Almost all already agreed to terms that it should not be more than 1,000 pesos. And we should not blame the city government for exerting efforts. We should not blame the executive for doing what it thinks is right and derailing certain track that it has force. I concur with autonomy. But if the Sanggunians of the barangays, Mr. Chairman, would concur also to a unified and a consensus process, modifying its own rates, that we should respect, because we could not do otherwise, Mr. Chairman. If the given ordinances of the barangays are at par or beyond the reach of our power, because it has, for one, approved by a barangay sanggunian in an assembled meeting in quorum. So therefore, if it is not illegal, if it is not irregular, we should always consider positively the actions required under the law or the local government code. So I just want to enlighten. It's new. Because for some, maybe a clip to the power that be in the barangay level. But it's not if it is for the good of the service, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay,
Sir
thank you,
Chair.
Floor Leader.
Chair.
Okay, Councilor
Chair.
Ruben Daba.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you sa maayong hapon sa tanan sa akong mga kauban. Guwapo kayo ang point karon sa atong majority floor, no? Ayan Mark na kaya mo gina akong hunahuna sad kay na may uban nga barangay nga medyo mubo ang ilang ilang pag-collect, na sa uban nga medyo taas. So I want to make it clear, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if so 1,000 you can go below but not higher. Is it am I correct?
Do you have an agenda, Councilor Ruben Daba? Do you have with you?
Yeah. I have the agenda, but I just wanted to make it clear kay guwapo kay tong point ni Majority Floor Leader Ayan Mark Nakaya, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So your question will be answered to your agenda. So the proposal for this about the question of yours is that they are listed there in the agenda that you have. So
Yeah.
check it.
So
They
it's
stated specifically about the amount.
okay.
So
So it's
you are questioning
1,000.
the amount.
Yeah, it's Mr.
Stated
Chair.
that.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Chair. It's 1,000 or below 1,000.
It stated here in the agenda is only 1,000.
Okay.
Oh, so there will be no below as
Chair.
it was not stated. So it is specifically the amount is in there. You already
Mr. Chair.
nakita nimo? Councilor Ruben Daba.
Yeah, akong gatan-aw, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Kay ganina na basa magod na dungog magod nako ganina nga kato lagi sakto kay tong point ni ni Majority Floor Leader Ayan kay sometimes it's if it's approved by the barangay that's their collection so naay kuan with our ordinance. So muna ang akong I want it to make clear. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor
Mr. Chair.
Ruben Daba. Okay, for
Mr. Chair.
next is Councilor Jocelyn
Mr.
Rodriguez. Mayong hapon kanimo.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Director, and also to Mama San Juan. I was listening to the explanation of Director Docalio, so I was getting slowly, nasabtan ako hinay-hinay because I seem not to understand why there is a maximum of 1,000 no, per explanation of our Councilor Alamlim. So karon about anako, they have this way of computing. Now, when Majority Floor Leader said that ang barangay, kaya doon naman sila ilang own kaning what you call this ordinance, no? I would like to ask whether Mr. Chair, nga pwede pa bagyapon sila makakolekta at a very reasonable fee aside from the 1,000 na ay limitation. Pwede pa ba? Because they have this ordinance and it's also covered, I think, covered with the local code, no? Ang ako pangutana, makakolekta pa ba sila more than 1,000? Kay if you see it, Mr. Chair, nagdagko nga barangay, nagdagko sa ilang mga businesses, nasa gagmay, nagdagmay rasad. So, mauna akong pangutana, Mr. Chair. Just want to be clarified on that matter.
So
May-
kani siya tanan, mabag-o na ni.
May we answer the question, Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
Thank you for the question,
Majority
Councilor Bebot Rodriguez. The understanding that has been offered as an agreement by the members of the Liga ng mga Barangay, Mr. Chairman, is to have a maximum of 1,000 pesos as its barangay clearance and construction fee. So in other words, it can go lower, just like one barangay, I think barangay 28, siguro na,
Oh, it can go
500
lower.
pesos. But it cannot exceed 1,000
Higher.
pesos for consideration of the agreed terms among the Liga ng mga Barangay.
So as specified, it is just for business permits and construction permit.
Only for the two.
Other clearances coming from the barangay level, they can create any
facility usage
amount.
fee
Okay.
and other matters,
So,
Mr.
the barangay
Chairman.
can collect from their different fees that they have, but about this specific proposal, only the business permit and the construction permit will have a uniform collection.
Correct.
Okay, Mr.
Councilor
Chair,
John
thank you.
Michael Seno.
May nga po, once again, our very active City Vice Mayor, Joaquin Kikang-Uy, members of the City Council, Director Jane Docalios, and Ma'am Eileen San Juan. Curious lang ko, Mr. Chair, if what committees would like to answer this one. Kaya, ang ako manggod sabtan, business permit and construction permit, mo na gid ni ang rate, 1,000. Now, if I would construct now a worth 3 million nga building, 1,000 ang akong bayran. Pero mag-construct ko og mga 100,000 lang, 1,000 gyapon ang akong bayran. It is there any questions raised during the Liga ng mga Barangay kung giunsa nila ni pag-settle down kay bala ka ko nga kung gamay ang imong gasto na pareha gyapon imong bayran 1,000. No? That's a query lang ko, Mr. Chair. I would like also to manifest nga okay man ni siya kay para paspas na pud og tabang na pud sa itong mga negosyante nga di na moadto sa barangay, diretso na sa syudad. So unsay kung if gi-allow nila nga pwede maubos, unsay protocol nga may balaan sa city government, sa treasurer's office nga let's say for example, gamay ra man imong kuan gasto dia, murag 700 lang siguro ang imong rate, dili 1,000. Or unsa bay if curious ang kuana, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor John Michael Seno. A very question that we have to
May I
clarify.
answer, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, majority floor and then Councilor Edgar Cabanlas. Okay, majority floor.
As to the clearance for business and construction, Mr. Chairman, once the City Council will approve this, it's already fixed, regardless of the amount invested for construction. And there's no discussion of the merits here. It's already fixed by the Sangguniang Barangays. May I put it clearly, Mr. Chairman? It's not the Liga ng mga Barangay that conducted and approved the imposition of the rates per barangay, but severally and separately, all barangay councils who are part of this, how many? 59, Mr. Chairman, have their own sanggunians, approved. So dili ni sa liga. Ang liga gihimo lang is consensus building ra ni ilang gihimo. Ang sangguniang barangays moto sila nag-approve. So legal gid tanan. Wa gid tay mahimo sa City Council kay puro man gihimo man nila 59 ka sanggunian separately. So di man sad pwede ang liga ng mga barangay maghimo sa dana. Naghimo lang sila consensus og miabot nga monang maximum 1,000.
Okay.
Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Mark Nakaya. I just want to follow up question about that. Based on opinion about the question about brought by Councilor John Michael Seno is about the barangay clearance fee. The said that you are explaining to is that regardless or vary the amount of the proposed building. So that is why, so if you are under this proposal, barangay council, so you have a selling about the fees that you have to collect if you are under these 59 barangays. So what about the barangays not yet included? They can still for review. So there should be 21 barangays. So well, the barangay ordinance that they imposing this time around, regardless, they will vary about the structure. The same. So the question of Councilor John Michael Seno is not the doable. Okay, so dili din sila gabagi sa structure sa amount. Dili wala to.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councilor John Michael Seno. Okay, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas. Okay.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. Kining litas para masabtan pag-ayo. Unsa may diferensya sa tax and regulatory fee? Ug unsa kining atong gihimuon karon? Is it a tax or a regulatory fee? This is a regulatory fee. Because the barangays cannot impose taxes except sa mga posters kanang diya sa gawas, mga sana sari-sari store. But this one is regulatory fee. Therefore, kung regulatory fee, ang guideline sa regulatory fee is this. The amount should be the reasonable cost of the regulatory approval. Sibot pasabot. Ang bayro nun sa mga yuog barangay clearance sa construction, ibase sa gasto sa barangay sa ilang pag-inspeksyon, ilang gasolina, dili ibase sa
value sa construction because that is already a tax. Kung kami nga karon nga 5%, 1% tax para sa atong real estate, mo ka na ang tax. 1% na to. So, mabali na dayon. Kung 1 million pesos ang worth sa imong yuta, then 1% of that mo na imong meron nga buhis. Kung 100,000 ra, 1% mo na. But this one is regulatory power of the barangays. So ang business nini is not the value of the property, but the cost of the inspection, the cost of the regulation. Mo kana nga pwede na to nga kanang dili na to dakuon. Sa motor to, wala man ang gustuhon. Mo kana nga kanang 1,000 okay na uniform kay ibutan ta nga ang gabuhaton sa barangay 1, ang gabuhaton sa nag-inspection sa worth 10,000 nga building ug ang gabuhaton sa barangay sa worth 1 million, pareha raman. So mo kana explanation na. That is why nga litas na think of unsa nga butang except to know that this is only a regulatory fee for the barangays. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas.
Chairman.
So,
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
okay. Director Jane Docalios.
Mr. Chair, ako lang dugangan to. Yes, sakto kayo si Councilor Cabanlas, no? The clearance fee is for services rendered by the barangay for the exercise of certain regulation. So kaya clearance fee, ako iklaro lang ha, barangay clearance fee for construction, for locational clearance, for construction permit, and barangay clearance fee for business permit. So katong gi-raise ni Councilor Sino is different. Katong yung giingon nga based on the cost of structure, it will now be embodied in the construction permit, which will be based on the building code. So lahi po na siya. Lahi na siya, and it's only the city who can collect. Ang building official lang ang authorized ana nga mo-compute. So lahi ng barangay clearance. Because before we can have the construction permit or business or building permit, dapat na ay barangay clearance from the barangay. So lahi ang role sa barangay. Lahi ang role po sa city through the building official talking about construction permit. Talking about business permit, it's only the city mayor who can issue the business permit. That is why we would like to atong i-correct ng mga kay na mga misnomer na iban nga barangay business clearance, barangay business permit. The barangay cannot issue business permit. They can issue barangay clearance as a requirement for the business permit to be issued by the city mayor. So lahi na. So yeah, thank you Councilor Cabanlas for also helping me out. Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
More. Na pa.
Pwede ba?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Councilor Enrico Salcedo. Last for
Daghang salamat, Mr. Chairman. Correct man si Councilor Ed Cabanlas. Correct po para sa ako. Correct po si Councilor Seno. Tungod kay para sa ako, Mr. Chairman, dili gid pwede mag-uniform. Kay na may uban nga mga gakuha og barangay clearance nga kamay ra gasto. Siyempre ulra or unsa at least nya posible katong ni Councilor Seno nga 100,000 niya kamay ra tong gasto sa gasolina unsa pa mga services niya. Muna, Mr. Chairman, kay mas maayo man sab nga unta nga dili sab nato i-uniform gid unta pero na naman na pero favor ko, Mr. Chairman, dili ko mo object ani, Mr. Chairman, ako nang explain. Nanagod na. Di na ko question ang barangay ordinance, pero ako lang pangutana, kini nga barangay ordinance, nag-public hearing ba ang atong mga barangay? Kay, I'm sure, Mr. Chairman, kay nagi mo reklamo ani, ay sigurado gikuha na. Kay, ano man, wala masabti sa uban sa mga barangay nga kining ordinansa gimo nga ngano ako 100 raman ang kantidad niya na 3 million. For example, sa among barangay, pasalamat ko na akong barangay captain si Kapitan Marlo Tabak, Mr. Chairman. Kaya ang sa barangay, for example, during side mini si Kapitan Tabak, kaya sigurado sa ko nga mo pud ang iyang gisunod sa kining authority to operate nga gikopyan ako sa akong idol sab si Councilor Ian Mark Nakaya, Mr. Chairman, ang atong majority floor leader. Eh, dagan tanan akong idol, tanan. Apil ka. Bitaw. Kung atong tan-awon, Mr. Chairman, wala na sana nangay og barangay clearance kato ng authority to operate. Akong question, kung panalita po, I'm sure nga nag-submit na si Marlot Kapitan Tabak, Mr. Chairman. Pero akong question, pwede ba to nga kato ako isubmit sa City Treasurer nga dili na ko mag-kubra og barangay clearance kato lang authority to operate nga akong gibasihan kay naman klaro man sa local code. Tinuod limited ang atong pagtax pero gitagaan sa tag kay gayunan nga lugar mangitag diskarte ang barangay para mo dako og income. Klaro na sa Article 4. Mr. Chairman, kay ang ko atong tanan ang ang gi-amend sa Ease of Doing Business, Mr. Chairman. Katura mang section letter C nga katong ang kailan mo agi sa barangay o pag-process lang. Muna nga ngano kailanlan ba mag-uniform? Or siguro basin na yung mga pressure gamay siguro pero nasabtan ako. Anyway, human naman na Mr. Chairman, support ako. Ikaduha na akong pangutana. Sato pa kay naapil man ang construction permit. How about katong construction clearance, Mr. Chairman? Kailanlan pa ba kay mga mag-construction clearance kana may existing ordinance ato? Kailanlan pa ba nga gikan sa barangay ang construction clearance nga gipirmahan sa atong barangay captain? Kay importante maguning construction clearance, Mr. Chairman, kay base na ay mga lukan nga ikoral di ang mga questionably nga kinahanglan gatan-awon pod sa barangay captain, Mr. Chairman. Muna nga dagan kayo nga atong gatan-awon ani, Mr. Chairman. Busa ako lang subon ako dili mabalaka kay ako suporta ko aning resolution, Mr. Chairman. Nalang ko yung mga pangutana nga kailan lang sab nga matubag pod gyapon sa atong sponsor ang atong Councilor George Goki kay may sponsor og sa atong ABC President, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr.
Chairman.
Chairman.
Okay, Councilor Saldi Ocon.
Salamat, Mr. Chairman. Clearance naman di man taxation. Kay ang pagbuwis adto naman sa pag-apply na gyud sa building permit. Dito naman ang sumada anatanan. Taanang quotation dito kung pila imong bayro noon pero kini clearance lang ni sa barangay, Mr. Chairman. So dili angay ni lalisan. Now, din nilang ko sa 1,000 ang ako na sabtan kada barangay base ni sa explanation ni Ma'am Jane Daculos na kada barangay na sila resolution may tungod na sa ilahang clearance pay. Pero tungod sa dito sa resolution sa barangay, sigurado ko lahi-lahi din ang ilahang amount. Pero tungod sa intervention sa liga ng mga barangay, nagkausa sila, nausahon na lang na nalay 1,000 na clearance pay para adunay uniformity kibali. So maayo gyapon na kay giresolbar man ni sa liga ng mga barangay. Pero ang ato lang kung uniformity ang tuyo, dapat unta akong gitanaw ang record dinhi nganong gibiyaan man ang barangay 28 number 23 dinhi nga 500 laman ang ilaha. Dapat kay 1,000 man, 1,000 na lang po sila. Di ba? Kay ang bisigan din layo, 1,000 man ang bisigan. Nga barangay 28, 500 lang. So, usahon na lang kung tagyapo na, Ma'am Jen, kung okay baka na, 1,000 lang gyapon para parehas ba? Way mapihig kay, may man niya ang barangay 20, ang uban na barangay. Nga naman lagi sa barangay 28, kung anda man sila ka 500. Di ba? So, dili pod question, katong giingon nga, kung magtukod ko o worth 3 million na balay o building, nga 1,000 lang ang akong bayro nun, nga ako po nagtukod og another 300,000 lang nga balay, 1,000 lang gyapon ang akong clearance bayaran. Dili na mo ang lantugi. Ang imong gibayaran diha ang clearance, dili ang amount sa imong building nga imong gitukod. Clearance lang na, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Saldi Ocon. Okay. Okay. Lastly, Councilor Bonglao.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer.
May
Good
hapon.
afternoon sa
Before you proceed, happy birthday, ha?
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Councilor Chodolfo Bonglao.
Belated. Oh.
Oh.
Thank you, again, Mr. Presiding Officer. Thank you to my distinguished colleagues in the 19th City Council. Ug, good afternoon also, my respect to our resource speaker, Director Ducalios and Ma'am Eileen San Juan. Now, actually, this issue, Mr. Presiding Officer, has long been discussed in the previous council. In fact, there was an attempt to have a uniform fee or clearance fee in 80 barangays, but it was never realized. So karon ato nakita nga nag-start na paingon na pagka mahimong mahimong uniform na ang pag-kolekta sa atong clearance from the barangay. But nalagay pangutana na gusto na ko I just wanted to be clarified. Now, if you look at the general provisions, the local government code, in Book 1, Title 1, Basic Principles, Chapter 1, the Code, Policy, and Application, on Title 1, on Section 1, Title, on Section 2, Declaration of Policy, dininang ko diretso. A, it is hereby declared the policy of the state, that the territorial and political subdivision of the state shall enjoy genuine and meaningful local autonomy to enable them to attain their fullest development as self-reliant communities and make them more effective partners in the attainment of national goals. Toward this end, the government structure instituted through a system of decentralization, whereby local government units shall be given more powers, authority, responsibilities, and resources. The process of decentralization shall proceed from the national government in the local government unit. Ang akong pangutana, gi-encourage din sa local government code na mahimong self-reliant ang isa ka local government unit, which is the barangay. Mahimo siyang responsive sa mga needs sa ilang mga katauhan. Now, kung ato silang limitahan, yun ani, supposedly, maka-income na unta sila. Like, dinis ako sa barangay sa Lapasan, kanyan po, kapitan pa ko, more than 1,000 naman atong gipangayo, man nagreklamo ang atong mga business establishments and other commercial establishment nga naa di barangay, no? Kuan sila kay tungod atong gi-explain nga mao man ang atong ordinansa sa barangay. Nya tan-on pud nimo ang atong Doing Business Act, Mr. Chairman, wala man din ni nagsulti. Now, gusto lang din ako i-clarify, it doesn't mean that I am against this proposal. Nagsulti din ni, there are 5 key reforms. Mauraning naka-feature din sa ato sa business doing business, no? Wala nagmando nga kinanglan i-limit ang income sa kada barangay or kada local government unit. Kinanglan wala man din sulti. Una, ang purpose sa aning ease of doing business law is number 1, faster the processing of business permits and licenses. Mao nang nagpasalamat ta nga dinhi na i-collect sa ato sa City Hall aron di na mag adto pa ang business dito sa barangay para mangita para mag-claim nga kinanglan isuan sila og business clearance or barangay clearance. Hindi na sa City Hall. Mao nang usa ang gisulti sa maong balawd. Ikadua, standard turnaround time for government transaction. So dili aron di na malangan ang atong mga business or investors nga gusto mo-invest sa ato sa syudad. Nara sila diya sa palibot sa atong City Hall. Mao nang ikadua nga purpose. Ikatulo, automated business registration process. So mao na karon ang atong panghimo karon dinhi sa atong syudad, no? Through automation na. So aron nga dili na malangan ang atong mga business squad. Then anti-corruption policy. So ma-prevent bagid ang corruption ani kay ang issue naman dili naman katong papel nga acknowledgement receipt kundi official receipt bagid. So ma-account nimo kung pila bagid ang na income sa usa ka barangay. And then citizen charter. Aron lang di maka-reforms wala nang sulti ang ease of doing business nga diktahan nimo ang usa ka barangay nga maura na siya nga kuan. Kay kung pananglitan diktahan nimo it will violate the number 1 principle nga gi-embody sa local government code, which is give full autonomy to every local government unit. Mao na akong gusto ma-clarify. Kay kung atong kuan, ang akong lugar, I am not talking with this 69 nga nag-willing na nag-submit. No? Okay na. How about the rest nga mga barangays nga wa pa nakasubmit? At least ato sila matagaan og idea nga dili yun dili sabton nga tungod kay dunay memorandum order madiktahan ang ilang panglantaw base sa ilang tingwa para sa ilang barangay. Kay klaro kayo sa atong local government. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Bunglao. Is there any wants to add
Chair? Mr. Chair?
for a reaction, a quick reaction? Kinsa na? Okay. Okay,
Mr. Chair?
Councilor. Maybe lastly, Director Jane Docalios.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I would just like to respond to the statement of Councilor Bunglao. While it is true that the local government gives autonomy to the LGUs, but each level of the LGU has different powers. They don't have, all levels don't have the same powers. For instance, sa barangay, lahi ang iyang power na vested upon the barangay. Talking about local government taxation, Article 4 for barangays, there is a scope of taxing power for the barangay. So the barangay is allowed only to collect tax for retailers or stores, which is 30,000 pesos or not more than 30,000 pesos or 50,000 for each UC. That is for but the city is the one collecting more than that. For service fee, barangays may collect reasonable fee or charges for services rendered. So that's why there is the barangay clearance fee based on the cost of service rendered. Regulation of for the regulation. Barangay clearance. Sa barangay clearance, na din no city may issue license or permit for any business unless a clearance is first obtained from the barangay. where it is located. So in other words, dili siya lahi itong construction permit or building permit, lahi po ng barangay clearance as a requirement for construction permit. Lahi po ng business permit, lahi po ng barangay clearance as a requirement for business permit. Okay? So ako na iklaro, no? Nood na given ang autonomy, but there are certain limitations. Really, it's not absolute. General statement man lang na sa title dito sa previous provision, but the details are being prescribed in succeeding sections. So mo na ako iklaro. And ako lang po itong iklaro nga kuan katong giingon nga there is no such thing as construction clearance. Misnomer man na. It's a barangay clearance. But there is dili siya construction clearance but construction permit to be issued by the building official. What the barangay will issue is barangay clearance, not construction clearance. Kay mo mapunay reason ba yan nga nganong daghang proliferate nga mga illegal nga construction because the public believe na nakuha sila construction clearance from the barangay that is already there permit to construct, which is not, because sa building code lahi business permit gyud ang kailangan.
Okay,
Mr.
thank
Chairman,
you.
can I have a follow-up?
Dr. Jane Docalius.
Chair.
Okay,
Just a follow-up, Mr.
Silang
Chairman.
Kiko Salcedo.
Reaction lang kang Director Jane, Mr. Chairman. Correct, construction permit na muhatag ang ubo. Pero before muhatag o construction permit, nasa city ordinance, wala ko masayop kay gi-require during sa mga barangay, gi-require gyud ang kining tag-iya nga mangayo og construction clearance before muhatag og construction permit ang ubo, Mr. Chairman. Muna nga kay gi-appeal man kung mintag business, siguro business clearance, mintag construction permit ang ubo muhatag asaray ako lang, Mr. Chairman, i-clarify lang ako kay para dili maglibog pod ang atong mga kining barangay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just a follow-up.
Okay, Councilor Bunglao. Kadol po Bunglao.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Follow up
Actually, no,
question.
I just wanted to differentiate the clearance and the revenue. It is very clear sa definition diya sa local government code ang tax and revenue and the barangay clearance. Barangay clearance is not a revenue, nor it is not either it is the tax. Now, wala gi-define diya sa local government code nga i-limit lang nimo ang i-kolekta sa barangay clearance. There is no specific provision in the local government code na limiting the collection of barangay clearance. Bisag unsa pa na nga klase nga clearance, whether for the construction clearance or other clearances, wala na gi-specify diya. So in other words, dili siya mo falls nga sa tax ni siya sa mulimit ra tad ini kay tungod mao nay mando sa local government on the collection of tax in every barangay. Dili. Klaro kay na gi-define sa atong local government code. Not unless kung ma-repeal ning local government code. Mao nang gusto nako i-clarify. Kay sometimes there is a contradiction sa inyong mga statement based on the law. Bisag ganing general statement, ingnon pag general statement that on the specific dili nato equation ang interna at balaod. Let's be specific in what is provided in the local government code. Mao nang gusto nato nga matagaan silang clarification. Ang masayon sa ila ang paghatag og hukom, no? They should be given the freedom to express sa kada barangay, no? Nga mao kana not because there is an existing memorandum order i-follow na din sa dili ato lang sa i-widen atong discussion, and that's why dinita karon nag-discuss about sa existing mga laws. So mao ra nang ako, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor
Last, Mr. Chair, last.
Idol Pumuglo.
Last, Mr.
And
Chair.
the last, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas.
Just a short rejoinder. I mean, there is no point of discussion, further discussion, or prolonged discussion, because this ordinance came from the barangay. This is their ordinance, not ours. So it is within their power to fix that. We do not question that. So what's the point of
Either for us to
prolonged
approve or
discussion?
disapprove.
Let's approve that and then go home. I mean, that is there. If they want to amend that later on, then do it. But as of now, we have a pending action to take, which is to approve their ordinance. Their ordinance, not our ordinance.
Okay. So,
The pending
Thank
motion,
you.
Mr. Chairman, is for the approval.
okay. So, thank you, Ma'am Jane Ducalios, our resource speaker this afternoon, Councilor. Okay, Ma'am Eileen San Juan, thank you. So, for
Mr.
this
Chair,
approval, majority floor, you
just
have
a
to
statement.
for
Move to lift the suspension of the rules.
suspension.
Second.
Okay, majority floor, there is a pending
There's a pending motion for the approval,
proposal.
Mr. Chairman.
motion.
I guess there's no objection, Mr. Chairman.
If there is no objection after, resolution number 2020, that's 244. Again, objection, none. Resolution number 244 is hereby approved.
Yeah.
Second final reading.
Dispense. Second.
Second.
May we remind the Liga ng mga Barangay and our resource persons, Mr. Chairman, to advise these 59 barangay councils to publish in 2 conspicuous places in the respective barangays for 15 days these ordinances that they have approved. So thank you, Director Jane, classmate, and
Thank you.
Eileen San Juan. Thank you. Item
Thank
number
you.
2. Item number 2, Mr. Chairman, is proposed resolution number 2020-237, confirming the appointment of Police Colonel Galino R. Borlangdatan, retired, as City Government Department Head 2 of the Roads and Traffic Administration, RTA, with all rights and privileges pertinent thereto. We have with us online, Mr. Chairman, the good Colonel, and however, the result, which is not favorable to him, as regards swab testing to COVID-19, Mr. Chairman, is still online. And he's available. He's available. Maybe we can get a message. Nakuan in town sila ni Assistant Department Head Engineer Oclaret, Colonel Hipolito, and I do not know who others in the RTA management team, Mr. Chairman.
We just listen him for a bit.
Yes, move to suspend the rules to allow
any
the good
second.
Colonel.
Okay, it is suspended. Okay, good afternoon, Colonel Gasalino Borlagdatan. Can you hear us?
Sir,
Good afternoon.
narinig niyo po, sir?
Just a brief message for the 19th City Council for your confirmation this afternoon. Maayong hapon kanimo.
Honorable Mayor, the 19th Council, other in attendance. Good afternoon, sir.
Okay.
First of all, hopefully,
Okay.
here in the isolation area.
Okay.
And
Okay. Okay, Colonel. Since you have your signal is very slow, and I think you have there is a technical problem about the signal of yours. So maybe we now proceed and we will just congratulate after for the confirmation majority floor.
Okay.
Since
Move to lift the suspension of the rules, Mr. Chairman.
the suspension is lifted. Okay, kaya now majority floor.
Maybe
As
after
proposed.
his recovery, Mr. Chairman, we will task the Public Utility and Transport Traffic Committee to just discuss whatever the members would like to discuss. But for now,
Okay.
we are moving for the approval of item number 2, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved the majority floor. Any second?
Second.
Objection? Objection. There is none. There is Councilor Roger Abaday, since there is a technical problem about the line of him, so maybe we will invite him.
For the approval.
Okay, Councilor Roger Abaday. Maybe.
Just for clarification, Mr. Chairman, is the item number 2 is the meaning the confirmation of the appointment of was that
okay,
Borlonggatat traffic as a traffic administrator?
Yes, there is stated in the agenda.
Yes, but Mr. Chairman, supposed to be, we have some query. We have some query for him, Mr. Chairman. Some important point regarding his position, Mr. Chairman, as a traffic czar of our city, Mr. Chairman. There are some areas that we ought to know, Mr. Chairman, because until now, we are problematic with our traffic. We have a problem with our traffic. So we want to know what are his grand plan in order that we can resolve this traffic problem in Cagayan de Oro.
That is why Councilor Roger, he has a technical problem.
So we will.
There is a technical problem, and then aside from that, he is in isolation right now.
Yes, Mr.
So-
Chairman, I have sympathy with that, Mr. Chairman. So, if that is the case, Mr. Chairman, we pity also him and his colleagues. I think Colonel Ippolito was also inflicted with. So, for the proper time, Mr. Chairman, so that we have the proper time to.
After his recovery.
Yes, after his recovery. But
Okay.
not the approval of the confirm of this.
We
appointment.
cannot do otherwise, considering that we are also restricted by regulations, Mr. Chairman. 10 days.
I move to defer,
10
Mr. Chairman.
days or 15 days.
Defer, Mr. Chairman.
10 days. Deem approved. Oh, that is why. Okay.
We will
Well,
commit
the question of Councilor Roger Abaday is not the same for the approval of the confirmation, but it is in line of the duty as RTA administrator. So maybe afterwards, after we confirm, then about the planning, about the programs of the RTA that you will have to ask, maybe later on the later part when he is fully recovered.
January, Mr. Chairman, 2021, we will ask.
That is why that is the moment or the proper time to ask question about the plans of him about the in running about management in.
But that does that
RTA.
also matter, Mr. Chairman, if he still remain as OIC. Later on, we will see if he's really competent or really capable to handle the position, Mr. Chairman. That is why, if we will confirm him, and then there are we will encounter another problem in our traffic. Now, how can we remove this in his position?
Well, I think there is also for us a duration of time that we have to act to. There are a duration of time of 15 days. That is why there is only 15 days to act. Either way, if we will not act, then he is deemed approved.
But
so still,
So that the voice of Councilor Roger Abaday be heard, Mr. Chairman, I move to divide the House if we will pursue of objecting.
I'm moving for
think-
deferment, Mr. Chairman, for the appointment.
Okay, so there is a deferment.
Move to, I object, Mr. Chairman.
So before then, we will have to divide the House. So any second, there is a motion, there is a
Second,
We
second.
have to vote on the
Second.
So for the deferment, who is in favor? There is
Second.
none. I think the loan.
There was a second.
That is why
It's not
second. So we
necessary.
have to
Let's
divide the House
divide the
for
House.
deferment. So it's only you. So there are still. So there is still a pending resolution to approve to. So objection. Only one objection coming from Councilor
For the
Roger
approval.
Abaday.
No,
For the
approval.
deferment, only one.
Pending
So
is
there
for
is
the
a
approval.
pending for confirmation. So only one also for who is against.
No, this is the process already.
We have to vote first whether he will be confirmed or not.
First, you you propose. Okay.
I was confused. I was confused.
Okay,
Please,
you are
clarify lang,
confused.
clarify.
Okay, I will explain it piece by piece. Councilor Roger Abaday. First, there is a valid motion coming from you,
Yes.
and then seconded. So we vote it, and then you vote it by you alone. So there is a pending motion proposal for the confirmation. Who is against? Only you. So I think it is already clear, crystal clear. Okay. So I will ask again so that they will not confuse. So the deferment is already decided. And then the pending motion
is the approval.
For the approval of the confirmation, who are against, please raise your right hand. I think Councilor Roger Abaday. Huh? Okay, for deferment. So for approval of the confirmation, please raise your right hand if there is.
Yes, put it in record that I am abstaining, Mr. Chairman.
Abstention. Okay. So abstain na po.
Two.
Okay, Councilor Edna Dahino. Okay, Councilor Eric Salcedo. Okay, you can manifest. Okay, Councilor Edna Dahino.
Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would like to manifest my abstention because again, dili me against nga mahimo siyang czar ani traffic because actually he is a master in management. But we would like to know kung the 5 or 10 year plan of the traffic is iyang gi-adapt siya. So we would like to let retired colonel explain it to us para for clarification because there are a lot of traffic problems in our city. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Councilor Edna Dahino.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, Councilor Saldi Ocon.
the same opinion with Councilor Inday Dahino. I voted for deferment, Mr. Chairman, because I myself, I have also some important queries. But I am not against with the
Councilor
appointment.
Saldi Ocon. This could be for the approval of the confirmation. The deferment is already decided.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the correction, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
But for the confirmation, Mr. Chairman, I would like to differ first because as I said earlier, I myself, I have also some important matter
Well,
to be
for the confirmation, either you will approve or disapprove, just or abstention.
Mr. Chairman, my point is only deferment.
No,
It has
already
passed.
decided, Councilor Saldi Ocon. We already vote about the deferment.
But can we hold for just for a 1 week, Mr. Chairman? Because this is a very important position in the city, Cagayan de Oro. Once we approve this one, automatically Colonel Rosalino Burlandatan will hold this office permanently.
Okay, Councilor Saldi Ocon, we already decided about the deferment. So there is a pending motion proposal from the majority floor and properly seconded. So we are now in a voting moment of the confirmation. So you have three options, either to approve, disapprove, or abstain.
I will not against. I will not approve kay
You are not against, you are not
abstain na lang
so you
ko,
are in
Mr.
abstention.
Chairman. Abstain na lang ko. But I am not against.
Okay. We already clarify it. So abstention is already
Manifested na siya.
okay. For last explanation, okay, Councilor Enrico Salcedo. Then I have to decide. Tamahuman na ni.
Explain lang ako, Mr. Chairman, ako
Okay.
extension. Tungod kay si Colonel Burlaglatan, prior sa iyang appointment, pero nag-act siya as OIC. Nag-abstain ko, Mr. Chairman, kay gusto na ako may bawaan. Sa iyang pag-OIC, sa iyang gimong solusyon sa atong traffic na to nga problema, kay nag-act naman gud siya as OIC. Second, mutana lang ko pod sa iya na every time nga mag-meeting, committee meeting, si Colonel Oclarit man ang mutunga. Dili man siya. I hope, Mr. Chairman, Engineer Oclarit ang mutunga. Nganong dili man siya mutunga, Mr. Chairman? Unsa may problema? Muna akong explanation sa akong abstention, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. Last Councilor Roger Abaday.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Allow me to manifest also my abstention. I have nothing against Colonel Bulungatan. I read his resume. He has a very good background, Mr. Chairman, as a PME. Not a PME. He's a PNP, PNP, and most of his assignments are all, Mr. Chairman, supervisory. But, Mr. Chairman, he has no experience about traffic management, Mr. Chairman. During the budget hearing, even Councilor Edna Dahino, the chairman of atong
Okay, thank you.
even noticed and not even recognize this OIC, Mr. Chairman, of our traffic. Because as observed by Councilor Salcido, it's not visible. Every time, even a committee meeting, and even there are mishaps in our traffic, none of his appearance, Mr. Chairman, that I have seen. Not like other traffic manager, Mr. Chairman, they are even conducting traffic within the street, on the street, the middle of the street, Mr. Chairman, during traffic congestion. Now, during the budget hearing, Mr. Chairman, he was not able to know the importance of the traffic lights and the traffic signs sa atong CCTV. Until now, 1994 pa na nga problema. 2014 pa na nga problema. Until now, wala gi siya recommendation nga kana siya i-repair or pulihan. In fact, the traffic light and the traffic signal or the CCTV, that is one factor to manage our traffic, Mr. Chairman. But there was no move, and he do not even know who will maintain the traffic lights and traffic signal. He does not know. In fact, that is one of the engineering. There are 5 A's of traffic. No? Previously, is enforcement, education and engineering. And traffic lights and signal, that is one of the ace of traffic. Look at our traffic now. Tanawa itong mga signal lights, itong mga more. Ingon, ang nakaibalo lang, they are just pinpointing. Who is the in charge? Who will call the shot? He does not know. He just point the engineer and then the city engineers, no, we are only in charge of street lights. He called the CDRMO. No, it was not turned over to us. So who will call the shot? And he should call the shot, Mr. Chairman, because he's traffic manager. But he do not know that. I do not know. That's why I want him to personally question if, so that you will also know. That is my very reason, Mr. Chairman, that I want him to be in personal, face-to-face, so that we will know what is actually his position with regards with the problem now in our traffic. Bisag Sabado, Domingo, traffic niya punta. We know that. We experience that. So we have to choose. We have to select that will really manage our traffic so that we will not be in trouble, Mr. Chairman. That's my position, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Roger Abaday. So, there is a pending motion. So, abstention.
Maybe before the action of the council, Mr. Chairman, can we get a commitment from Colonel Bunglagdatan to as to the manifestation of the few of the members of the council on his appearance?
As we heard, and as Councilor Chado Pabungla wants to invite him at the proper time, we will invite him.
Yes.
And later
Maybe just a
later on.
commitment, Mr. Chairman, so that the heated concerns of the members will be laid down after his commitment. Colonel, do you hear us? Can you commit to the City Council that once you are invited to appear before the collegial body as a whole, you will appear, and those invitations that will be sent to you during committee meetings, particularly when you are required to appear to discuss matters on the traffic, can you commit to us that you will personally appear? Colonel?
Mr. Chairman, gusto ko talaga ng patin kaya lang yung
Not only this time, in the future.
Yes, sir. Explain about myself.
Both at the collegial, at the Sangguniang session, and committee meetings. Colonel?
Yes, I do. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Yes,
So at
Okay,
the proper
maybe
time,
at the
Mr.
proper
Chairman,
time,
we will
Majority.
hear him. So the pending motion is for the approval.
For the approval, then I want just to clarify it that our letter of proposal coming from the executive department is November 16, dated November 16. So we already failed to act upon it. So the duration of time for our approval is just 15 days. So afterwards, it is already deemed approved. So just this could be just a formality. Move and seconded.
By the way, before the proper motion, can we lift the suspension of the rules first? Move to lift the suspension of the rules.
We already lifted.
Nag-lift na ta? Wala pa. Wala pa. This is for the second time.
Okay. Well, we are acting about the deferment.
Oo.
Okay, for the suspension is lifted. Okay,
So
majority
the
floor
pending motion, Mr.
for-
Chairman, is for the approval.
For the approval, for the confirmation. So properly moved. Since there is no objection after all, it is abstention. There is already abstention.
No more. Wala na siguro. Wala na. Ha? Abstain gyapon mo?
So for
1-2.
abstention. Okay, since there is no, are you objecting or not?
No, I'm requesting that there will be a formal
Okay. I have to waive my right and then you will be the one to preside. Councilor Roger Abaday. Okay, last. Okay. So approval or disapprove for abstention. So raise your right hand for the abstention. Can you count it and take it, put it into record, Mr. Secretary? So
For abstention, Councilor Salcido,
raise your right hand.
Councilor Abaday, Councilor Dahino, Councilor Ocon.
So we will count so Mr. Secretary, we will count the voting of Councilor Kabaday. Since my ruling is right hand, not left hand, right hand. Oh, oh. So make it count. So in favor, make it an official number so that they will be, to clarify it, crystal clear.
Those who are in favor are 16 with 4 abstentions. No, 14 with in favor and 4 abstentions.
So the 14, you have it. Resolution number 2020-237 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final
Dispense
reading.
for its finality. Any
Second.
Seconded.
Number 3, Mr. Chairman, is proposed resolution number 2020-250, returning to the Barangay Council of Barangay 13, the city, its ordinance number 002-2020, series of 2020, covering its supplemental budget number 1 for calendar year 2020, with an estimated income of 1,102,587 pesos, with information that said ordinance is operative in its entirety. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Second.
Before we approve that majority floor, I will have to make it there is an explanatory. Okay, city officials in general, section 454 under the local government code. So, can you raise it, Mr. Secretary? Okay, Councilor Roger Abaday. That will be our basis for this confirmation. 15 days of submission. So we received November 16.
I think we have the existing ordinance, Mr. Chairman, that all to be confirmed should be physically present. Even in Senate or in Congress, in CA, they are personally to be in person, Mr. Chairman. That is the requirement. But
Okay.
the failure of non-appearance, Mr. Chairman, of not approving, is not our failure. It is not our failure. It is not default. It is default of the applicant, Mr. Chairman, because he was not present for the first time that he was invited.
Okay,
It is
thank
not
you.
our failure.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Roger Abaday. For your reference, you have to read it in toto first. And we've already decided and we submitted it for the general consent. Then we concluded it and decided office confirmation. So majority floor, you may now proceed about the next proposal.
The pending motion, Mr. Chairman, is for the approval of item 3.
Properly moved by the majority floor, seconded. Okay, objection. Objection. Objection, none. Resolution number 2020-250 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality.
Second.
Seconded.
4 is proposed resolution number 2020-250, returning to the Barangay Council of Barangay Cugman, the city, its ordinance number 02, series of 2020, covering its supplemental budget number 1 for calendar year 2020, with an estimated income of 1,428,558 pesos, with the information that said ordinance is operative in its entirety. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved. Seconded. Objection?
Second.
None. Resolution number 2020-251 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
For its finality.
Second.
Number 5 is proposed resolution number 2020-252, returning to the Barangay Council of Barangay number 32, the city. Its ordinance number 001, series of 2020, covering its annual budget for calendar year 2020, with an estimated income of 3,841,628 pesos, with information that said ordinance is operative in its entirety. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by the majority floor.
Second.
Objection? Objection. There is none. Resolution number 2020-251 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense with finality, seconded.
6 is proposed resolution number 2020-253, returning to the Barangay Council of Indahag, the city, its ordinance number 005-2020, entitled an ordinance declaring the area starting from the new Barangay Hall, Poblacion, Indahag, until the area of Blitz Gasoline Station, Lumboy, Indahag, as the zone for selling fish and meat products, with the information that said ordinance is operative in its entirety. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved.
Second.
Seconded. Objection? Objection. Hearing none? Hearing none. Resolution number 2020-253 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense.
Second.
7 is proposed resolution number 2020-254, approving and or adopting the annual investment program AIP of the city government of Cagayan de Oro for 2021. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Move.
Second.
Second.
Objection. Resolution number 2020-254 is hereby approved.
To dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality.
Second.
Second.
Number 8 is proposed ordinance number 2020-191, authorizing the Honorable City Mayor Oscar S. Moreno to enter into and sign the Memorandum of Agreement MOA with the Department of Agriculture Regional Field Office 10, represented by its Regional Executive Director, Carlin C. Culiado, CPA, covering the grant of farm equipment, vacuum pack, sealer and corn husker shelter to the city of Cagayan de Oro under the terms and conditions stipulated therein. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved.
Second.
Objection? Objection. Hearing none. Hearing none, ordinance number 2020-191 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
For its finality.
Second.
Seconded.
9 is proposed ordinance number 2020-192, appropriating the sum of 64,854 pesos and 27 centavos from the item Personal Services Salary Savings of Vacant Position, item number 2, Development Management Officer 3, for the period January 1 to February 18, 2020 in the 2020 annual budget of the Cagayan de Oro Trade and Investment Promotion Center, this city, to be made available for the payment of the unpaid salary for the period March 22, 2019 to April 19, 2019 of Mr. Timothy Andrew E. Salera, who was appointed as Development Management Officer 3 of the said office on March 22, 2019, and who resigned on May 1, 2019. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved.
Second.
Floor. Seconded. Objection? Objection. Hearing none. Hearing none. Ordinance number 2020-192 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense.
Second.
Seconded.
Number 10 is proposed ordinance number 2020-193, instituting and implementing the registration of ownership of agricultural and fisheries machinery and equipment in accordance with the joint memorandum circular number 2018-02 by the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Interior and Local Government relative to the national guidelines for the registration of ownership of agricultural and fisheries machinery and equipment within the territorial jurisdiction of Cagayan de Oro City. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Move.
Second.
Seconded.
Second.
Objection? Hearing none. Hearing none. Ordinance number 2020-193 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense.
Second.
Seconded.
11 is proposed ordinance number 2020-194, declaring the Higala online application, Higala app, as the principal highly infectious disease contact tracing system of Cagayan de Oro City, mandating the use thereof in all establishments and entities, providing penalties for violation thereof and for other purposes. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved.
Second.
Second. Second.
Objection.
Chair, ready.
We make it a proper proposal. Okay. Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani.
For correction lang, for section 10, I think this is section 9-1 instead of section 8-1. Okay na? And for section 11, implementation, there are two RTAs. The EF, letter H should be RCB. RCB. That's all. Thank you.
Mr.
Okay, just
Chair,
minor
Chair.
amendments.
Mr. Chair, query.
Okay,
Query, Mr. Chair.
okay, okay, okay,
Query.
okay. Before Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez, I had to make it a proper amendment. Okay, there is a motion for correction for amendment. Second,
Second.
seconded. So just a minor, just I think clerical error, but I have to. That is a proper motion. So objection for the amendment. None. It is hereby approved. So there is a pending ordinance proposal.
Query,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
Rodriguez,
Yeah.
you have,
Thank
you
you,
have the
Mr.
floor.
Chair. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I have several questions I would like to ask from the author of this ordinance. Based on the preamble of the ordinance, it shows that it is the City Tourism and Cultural Affairs Office in cooperation with the City Management Information System developed the Higala application. Since I would like to ask the author whether this particular ordinance complied with the minimum requirements sets forth in the DOH Department Order number 2020-0436 dated October 1, 2020 in designing COVID-19 related information system. I would like to ask the author and guarantee before us that this proposed ordinance complied with the DOH memorandum. Number 2 question, Mr. Chair. Last November 26, 2020, the IATF passed resolution number 85 series of 2006, which provides in item B, paragraph 2, that StaySafe.ph shall be the government's digital contact tracing application of choice and shall be made mandatory for adoption and use in all national government agencies and instrumentalities and the local government units. I would like to ask the author whether this ordinance mandating the people in Cagayan de Oro to use the Higala app will not be contrary to IATF resolution number 85. My query, Mr. Chair, is that we have this national, from the IATF, which is the StaySafe.ph versus the Higala app. So meaning Higala is from the city itself. Ang ako lang question, Mr. Chair, kay national naman ni, why don't we adopt the national resolution so that wala na kay tay gasto, and then ang ako manggod, once we have this city, we will be applying again. Mo-apply na po ta utro, and then we provide information. Ang ako lang gika problemahan is that my privacy may be abused. Kay importante man God, once you will be applying for this, so tanan data mahatag sa syudad. And where I will be going, ugasa ko mosulod with a QR code, mabawo nag-asa na dapit ang individual. How can I be protected in this matter? Kay ang ako is ngano dili naman lang nato i-adapt ang sa national nga naa naman hanay naman na ang national so that ang consolidation sa national, which is very very big, and the keeper of this record as the Department of Health. So ang ako nga, how can I be protected regarding this Higala? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez. So there is a query. I think it is heard by the author, Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani. Can you please answer the query?
Okay,
coming
thank
from
you,
Councilor Jocelyn
Mr. Chair.
Rodriguez.
Salamat mo, Councilor Bebot Rodriguez. Actually, for your first question, if this is connected with the DOH, the ordinance was drafted by a TWG. This was drafted with the composition was the City Information Officer, the City Tourism Officer, City Management Information Officer. Part member of the TWG was our epidemiologist, Dr. Retuya, OCA representative from OCA, Office of the Community Affairs, our city administrator, and some private establishment in Cagayan de Oro. So there is no redundant between this the safe. The the Higala app is primarily used for contact tracing only. So kanamang kung stay safe nanadya ang health declaration, pero na our mandated by a DILG memorandum na dapat ang matag LGU na agyoy COVID-19 task force which would incorporate contact tracing. Muna atong gihimo karon nga natay giterm as Higala app. So ang ato karon is this is purely more on contact tracing once you enter a private and public establishment kay we have seen na for the past pila ka months ang kaning health declaration form na naa sa mataglain-lain nga establishment na mga fictitious names nga gaisulat lang. So through this QR code, at least within 30 days, pwede na ito matrace asa gapaingon ni ang tao. And rest assured na ang Data Privacy Act na-implement ni siya and only CHOHEMS can have access to this Higala application.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Okay, follow-up question, Councilor Jocelyn.
Yeah, follow-up question. Thank you, Dr. Gaani. Nagsubay ba kita ani sa national policy, Mr. Chair? I'm addressing this question to Dr. Gaani. Kay murag duha na manggod, stay safe and higalaay. So ang meaning is that ang contact tracing application is duha na pod. Whereas sa national, if we have to check o sa contact tracing, mahatag man sa ato ang siguro ang data. Kaya ang ako gingikadlukan, Mr. Chair, once we provide the data, no, dili gyud ko kasiguruhan how safe we will be in going to different places and our address and our location kay ngano at this time murag dili gyud safe para nako. Whereas kung sa Manila rata mo apply with the stay safe PH with millions applicants, no, and for the contact tracing or for the DOH nga policy, I think I feel safe that way then dinhi. Kay once you enter a store, no, mabawaan na ka that you are there. So how sure are we that you are very safe in this regard? And for how long this file be under your keeps, no, sa city? Muna akong mga queries, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez. Okay, Councilor Maria Lourdes Gaani.
Actually, as far as akong gisulti kaganina, this Higala app is primarily for contact tracing only. So kung mayong kag safe, only data pertaining to your full name, your date, your gender, and wala na ilain yun, not even the temp. Kaya this is for primarily contact tracing and this is good for 30 days lang. So, gi-consider nato ang Data Privacy Act na ay access ani ang CHOHEMS lang yun. Kay para ma-retrieve once na ay positive COVID-19 sa isa ka establishment, within the next 30 days, mabawaan kung asa ka nakapaingon kinsa imong mga asa kang establishment o kinsa tong mga tao nga imong nahalubilo within that period. So I would kung mayong kag safe, I think mas safe siguro ni kesa atong sa national kay kesa sa ato na para sa ako kay this is locally ato na silang gihimo together with sa atong city information management officer si Sir Dimbo and the city tourism. And the data alone is kuan man lang kanang name, gender, age, para for contact tracing only. Wala na ilain nga kuan kung asa ka lang, para ma-retrieve lang kung
Address.
asa ka na
It
pa yun.
is
Pati
included?
address,
Address,
and
okay.
contact number.
So name,
So,
address, and age.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, follow up
Mr.
pa
Chair.
one
Thank
more,
you,
Mr. Chair.
Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani. Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez.
Yeah, so meaning to say, do I have to apply sa Stay PH and then apply also sa Higala PH? So duha na gyud ang i-apply no kay galibog na gyud
Mr. Chair.
which one? The
Mr. Chair.
mandatory provision sa national ang stay what you call it, Stay Safe PH, and now ang pwede sa mga tao apply gyapon sila sa Cagayan. So there will be two applications then, no? So which are we going to comply, being the Stay PH, being the national, no, mandatory for adoption for all LGUs, no? So kita, and I know Manila is adopting the same. In fact, Davao is also adopting the same. So ngano kita maghimuta sa atong kaugalingon, which I do not understand. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay. So, Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani.
Maybe before Councilor Gani, if I may have a rejoinder with Councilor Rodriguez, Mr. Chairman, if I may proceed.
Okay.
Just a rejoinder.
A rejoinder
Yes,
before
Councilor Gani will answer.
Okay. Majority floor.
There is truth to the concern of Councilor Rodriguez, Mr. Chairman, considering that we are the hub of many establishments and industries in Cagayan de Oro. And in fact, just last week, I received a text from a friend in Malaybalay City, whether or not the Higala app has already been enforced in Cagayan de Oro, and what would be the requirement that he should provide so that he can enter a mall in Cagayan de Oro. That's a concern, considering that the imposition that we are trying to consider right now is that no Higala app registration, no entry. And if the mall will not implement this policy, it will have administrative penalty lined up. So what will happen if, for example, the mall will bar people from outside of Cagayan de Oro, considering that they don't have this Higala app? And I'm just wondering how we can implement this and get the cooperation of all malls, establishments with this requirement. And the requirement is for all Cagayanons, for all establishments in Cagayan de Oro. And how about those journeying and entering Cagayan de Oro? They cannot be commanded with the registration because they are not within our authority, within our jurisdiction. So, but they can be commanded by national regulations. And the other one, Mr. Chairman, I don't see any provision here that allows sharing of information by and between the city and the DOH or the national government, or the national government DOH sharing to Cagayan de Oro. That would correct the concern if, for example, there is that arrangement between two entities, the local and the national. If, for example, this DOH application would share data and information to Cagayan de Oro and will absorb and adapt the information in the Higala app. So all Bukidnon or Misamis Oriental, Camiguin, Iligan people who will be entering the premises of Cagayan de Oro and establishments will be able to access because they have this sharing of information. So two questions that I would like to join with Councilor Rodriguez, and we hope that it can be answered, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Majority Floor Leader Ayan Mark Kiblat Nakaya. Okay. Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani.
Thank you for that, no, Majority Floor. Actually, the Stay Safe .ph and the Higala app is more or less the same, the for contact tracing. Ang diferensya lang ani kay national siya, pero kita local. Mas dali sa ato makuha ang data kung naa na ta dinhi access, kung natay Higala app kay pila lang narantan natay access sa atong server na ata dinhi. So ang Data Privacy Act, ang atong maka-access ani is the only CHO HEMS lang para sa contact tracing man lang ni, kung para makita nato na within pipila ka adlaw sa kung naay na declare as COVID-19 positive, ma-contact within 30 days, makita dito, matrace dito kung asa siya nagpaingon within 30 days. So ang access ani kay bounded ta sa atong Data Privacy Act, ang CHO HEMS lang yun ang naay access aning
Okay.
Higala app.
Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani, the
Mr. Chair.
question is there is no problem or question about the people residing in Cagayan de Oro. But what if beyond Cagayan de Oro? How can we enforce them, or um, to trace with them, since we are just limited to our area of responsibility? What about the other provinces from Bukidnon or Camiguin? Okay.
Mr. Chair.
For
Mr. Chair.
registration, sir, you can do it at home man. Ang mag-register ka aning QR code kay you will be given once register na adi na ang pamaagi unsa ang pag-register. And once you are registered, you will be given the QR code, that's the quick response code. So mo na nina siya nga naa ka pwede ka makakuha og hard copy, which is the kanang sabihin murag barcode, and anybody entering from Cagayan de Oro, whether you are a resident of Cagayan de Oro or non-resident, dapat naagi QR code para for contact tracing only. So kung mayon tag access, for example, from Lanao or from makuha man gud din na sa QR code, kay makuha man gud sa atong server, makuha din na
so
ang
when-
iyang data.
Okay, for a QR code, there is a medium of gadget. But what about they don't have any gadget after all?
Actually, sir, the establishment is mandated nga naa sila, you can have the QR code, tapos pag wala kay internet, it's a win-win. Pwede ka magamit sa establishment nga naay internet good. They are mandated to have the internet diya sa mga establishment.
Well, about the gadget, you mentioned QR code. So what if coming from Bukidnon don't have any
I don't think
any medium or
Okay.
any cell phone after all?
I don't think, sir, sa karon murag talagsa na rin siguro gid sa ato dinhi nga walay cellphone, no? Majority of us siguro have has cellphone nga maski asa ta. So I think murag imposible kaayo nga walay phone gyud ang matag usa ka nato, kay even galing ang atong mga helper karon na magaling cellphone for that.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is actually a restriction to travel. We are dangerous precedent for
Freedom
people.
to travel.
This will limit the right to travel, which is
Right to
guaranteed
travel.
in the
Okay.
Constitution.
That could
And
be
it's
the
a
right
very
word.
dangerous one. I move to defer this, and this be referred to the Committee on Laws and Rules for review.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And maybe we
There is-
can arrange with DOH so that we will
There
have
is a
linkage
proper
of
motion
data.
and seconded objection. We have to clarify it first, Councilor.
Thank
we
you
will
for
deliberate it
understanding, Councilor Gani.
further. Okay, so
Thank
for
you.
deferment, objection. I think there is no objection. So Ordinance number 2020-194 is deferred.
Move for inclusion, Mr. Chairman, as items 12, 13, and 14.
For inclusion, 12, 13, and 14. Any second? Seconded. So carry on, majority floor. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 12 is proposed ordinance number 2020-195, authorizing the Honorable City Mayor Oscar S. Moreno to enter into and sign the memorandum of agreement with the Bureau of Fire Protection, BFP, represented by City District Fire Marshal Fire Superintendent Alan A. Cabot, MPA, covering the collection of construction permitting and business registration fees imposed by the BFP pursuant to the relevant provisions of RA 11032, otherwise known as the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act of 2018 under the terms and conditions stipulated therein. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by the majority floor.
Second.
Objection? Objection? Hearing none. Hearing none, ordinance number 2020-195 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense.
Second.
13 is proposed ordinance number 2020-196, authorizing the Honorable City Mayor Oscar S. Moreno to enter into and sign the memorandum of agreement with the Department of Agriculture, DA Regional Office Number 10, represented by its Regional Executive Director, Carlene C. Culiado, covering the collaboration of the parties in the establishment of a dome-type storage and packing facility at the City Engineering Office Compound, Barangay Kauswagan, the City, pursuant to the National Government's COVID-19 Response and Recovery Interventions mandated under RA number 11494, otherwise known as the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act under the terms and conditions stipulated therein. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved.
Second.
Second.
Objection? Objection. Proposed ordinance number 2020-196. Since there is no objection after all, it is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
For its finality-
Second.
Second.
14 is proposed ordinance number 2020-197, authorizing the Honorable City Mayor Oscar S. Moreno to enter into and sign the deed of sale with the respective beneficiaries of the Cagayan de Oro City Resettlement and Socialized Housing Project located in Calaanan, Barangay Kanituan, the city as buyer vendi, covering the respective housing lots owned by the city under the terms and conditions stipulated in the pro forma deed of sale attached hereto. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by the majority floor leader.
Second.
Seconded. Objection? Objection. Hearing none. Ordinance number 2020-197. This proposed ordinance, a housing lot with a buyer vendi. So there could be, this could be under housing char committee sponsored from the Committee of Subdivision and Land Estate. No other than chairmanship of Councilor Edgar S. Cabanlas.
Housing char.
Housing
Move
char.
to dispense second final reading.
For its finality,
Second.
seconded.
There being no other matter pending, Mr. Chairman, move to adjourn.
Session adjourned.
If FYI, tomorrow is holiday.
A holiday.
Yehey!
Ay, salamat.